Hartshornian or Malcolmian responses can also be offered with respect to Plantinga's argument, and can also be answered with respect to Plantinga's argument. So by focusing my energies on Plantinga's argument, you will soon discover that I'm not actually ignoring anything at all. So first of all, you might want to start looking at section 2, where I briefly exposit his argument. Plantinga's argument basically works in 8 steps, and I'm basically summarizing what he says in The Nature of Necessity from pages 213 to 217. You can also see what he says with respect to this in God, Freedom, and Evil. I actually don't have God, Freedom, and Evil, but I have an anthology by Michael Peterson, William Hasker, Bruce Reichenbach, and David Bassinger. Philosophy of Religion Selected Readings, 2nd edition. If you look from pages 179 to 183, you can see the version that he gives in God, Freedom, and Evil. They don't differ, just slightly on some emphasis and details here and there and whatnot, and his presentation in some sense. So anyway, I'm just going to basically summarize his thoughts right here. He starts off with 2 definitions, 1 and 2. First, 1. Maximal greatness is exemplified if and only if maximal excellence is exemplified in every possible world. A warning. You kind of have, you have to know about possible world semantics, modal logic, and, possible world semantics and modal logic to really understand anything that I'm going to be saying from here. And if you don't really understand that, then this isn't the video for you. The best I can recommend, look, I'm self-taught myself. Alright, I don't have a formal philosophy degree or anything. I just love to read. So if you pursue the topic, you can understand it just fine. In my paper, I've included a pretty good introduction to modal logic. So if you read that, you can probably get sort of the ideas that are mentioned here. And it also has a brief section on possible world semantics. Anyway, continuing, he starts off with the definition: maximal greatness is exemplified if and only if maximal excellence is exemplified in every possible world. Okay. His second definition, 2, a being is maximally excellent if and only if it exemplifies omnipotence, omniscience, and moral perfection. Okay. I won't get into omnipotence, omniscience, and moral perfection for now. Whether or not they're coherent or not, that's a totally different topic from here. For now, at least. But we can basically define omnipotence, at least how most theists tend to define it. A being is omnipotent if and only if that they have the ability to do any logically possible action. They can actualize any logically possible state of affairs, more technically. And a being is omniscient if and only if that for any true proposition that is logically knowable, that being knows it. And I guess we could say a being's morally perfect if and only if, with respect to every possible action that a being can engage in, that being goes right with respect to that action. Okay, so that's what it means to say that a being is maximally excellent. Basically, it's omnipotent, omniscient, and morally perfect. Okay, so these are the 2 definitions he starts off with. Alright, now, his third premise: maximal greatness is exemplified in a possible world. Okay, so that's the starting premise he has. Then 4, he has an S5 axiom. In the modal logic system of S5, it's true that if maximal greatness is exemplified in a possible world, then maximal excellence is exemplified in every possible world. And I'll detail that in a bit. Then he goes to 5. Maximal excellence is exemplified in every possible world. And this is just a simple modus ponens from 3 and 4. If maximal excellence is exemplified in a possible world, then maximal excellence is exemplified in every possible world, 4, and also maximal greatness is exemplified in a possible world, then of course 5 follows. Maximal excellence is exemplified in every possible world. We have the conditional, 4, if P then Q. In other words, if maximal greatness is exemplified in a possible world, then maximal excellence is exemplified in every possible world. We have the antecedent, 3, maximal greatness is exemplified in a possible world. And then we have the consequent, which follows. Maximal excellence is exemplified in every possible world. 5. Then he posits 6, which is another S5 axiom, uncontroversial. If maximal excellence is exemplified in every possible world, then maximal excellence is exemplified in the actual world. Okay. And then, of course, from that, he gets 7. Maximal excellence is exemplified in the actual world, from 5 and 6. Again, simple modus ponens. Conditional, antecedent, consequent. And then he gets the conclusion, which follows from 7, therefore there is a maximally excellent being, because maximal excellence is exemplified in the actual world. So there actually is a maximally excellent being, and hence God, who is a maximally excellent being, exists. Now, I'm going to briefly elaborate here. 1 and 2 are the crucial definitions that Plantinga uses to reach the conclusion. Okay. Now, a being that exemplifies maximal excellence, by definition, exemplifies maximal excellence in every possible world. If there's a possible world in which maximal greatness is exemplified, then it follows, per an S5 axiom and intuitively, a being exemplifies maximal excellence in every possible world, since it's maximally great. Okay. And the reason I emphasize great is because maximally great here means simply nothing more than necessary maximal excellence. And if every possible world is I kind of messed up there, a typo. If in every possible world maximal excellence is exemplified, it follows, per an S5 axiom, as well as intuitively, that since the actual world is a member of all possible worlds, then it follows that a maximally excellent being exists in the actual world, and therefore there's a maximally excellent being, which is God. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to go to three broad criticisms of Plantinga's argument. Does he beg the question, why should we even accept maximal greatness? And finally, what does his argument even show in the first place? So, go to section 3. Does Plantinga beg the question? Now, if you understand possible world semantics and modal logic, it appears prima facie that his premise, his key premise, maximal greatness is exemplified in the possible world, is modest. I mean, all what we're really saying is, it's possible. Now, a cautionary note. This does not mean epistemically possible. It means modally possible. I mean, for instance, we can say it's epistemically possible that Goldbach's conjecture is false, or it's epistemically possible that it's true. Alright? Although I'm not really sure how that is, but I guess we could say that. Or, for instance, we could say that it's epistemically possible what's a good example here? Oh, it's epistemically possible that the four-color theorem is in fact false. Okay, so I mean we can think of that, right? And there are some other epistemically possible things. Penrose's triangle, we can even draw pictures of that. It seems epistemically possible, right? In some sense. But that doesn't mean it's modally possible. You see, each of those things, for instance, Penrose's triangle is necessarily non-existent. It's an impossibility, geometrically. Goldbach's conjecture, if it's true, it's necessarily true. If it's false, it's necessarily false, because mathematical theorems or propositions are necessary, because all mathematical propositions are analytic. They're analytic tautologies, and the reason they're analytic tautologies is because they're defined axiomatically. Given the axioms, certain entailments follow, and these entailments are the theorems. So if Goldbach's conjecture is indeed false, then given the axioms of the relevant system, Goldbach's conjecture is necessarily false because the axioms entail its falsity. Okay, the axiom, and if it's true, then the axioms entail its necessity, because given the axioms, then the Goldbach's conjecture is indeed true. So in this sense, Goldbach's conjecture, whether true or false, is necessary.
If it's true, it's necessarily true. If it's false, it's necessarily false. Same thing with the four-color theorem. If it's true, it's necessarily true. If it's false, it's necessarily